And what's up there, folks? Stampede Valkyrie coming back at you again with another interesting light find here. What we've got is a McDonald and Arneson Traffic Master. Tag actually reads Model M. As we come down here, you can take a look at there. Looks like it was made in Vallejo, California. My understanding on this light, and there's not a lot of information out there, is that this light was created sometime in the early 50s. I've seen some patents thanks to some visiting, a little bit of research on elightbars.org and so on and so forth, where these lights were found on poles or mounted to poles. There's some apparatus that extended up in the air, and it acted like a traffic beacon or emergency beacon. The interesting part about this light is the fact that it doesn't rotate. There are actually 4 lamps on the inside. A couple other manufacturers have made newer versions of beacons like this. I think North American Signal made one. Federal Signal, I think, made the Model 44. That was like that. A couple other ones, I think, I want to say McDermott made one similar off the top of my head that did the same thing. This might be the granddaddy of all of them. The dome here is glass. It's actually a very good condition dome. You can kind of catch the light one way or the other. It is fluted on the inside, but it's smooth, and my reading has told me that this is the older version of this light, as it doesn't have the flat top. Like newer versions of this light removed the rounded, if you want to call it, gumball, and turned it more into like a flat top type light. But that's not what we've got here. Itself, it's, again, I'm gonna estimate this circa probably 50s, solid 50s, maybe early 50s. There are some pictures showing that the San Francisco Police Department used these lights, especially in the early 50s. It's actually kind of interesting, and I found this to be a unique enough light, or a unique enough beacon, that I might as well just document it. So if a lot of people probably don't encounter this light, I assume it's rare. So for the most part, we've got a cast or metal base. The dome itself is held in place by these tabs here, and there's a gasket between here, or the base, and the dome. It's made out of rubber, keep water from infiltrating. We've got another tab point here, and as you can see, I'm rotating it around. You can kind of see the bulbs if you look close enough, and they're not really bulbs, they're actually refractors, par 36 refractors. Now, I don't know what the correct bulb that goes in here. The thing that's actually interesting is the fact that 3 of the 4 bulbs worked. I just threw in a 4th bulb that looks to be equivalent to what the other 3 bulbs were, so it's not 100% right, at least as of this point, but it's good enough to work. But let's go ahead and actually talk about this. I'm going to go ahead and get this dome off so you guys can take a look at this. It's very interesting in regards to how this functions, and I've seen other videos of people doing where it makes a very interesting flash pattern. So what I'll do is we'll get this dome off, we'll take a look at it, I'll talk about the insides a bit, we'll get the dome back on it, tighten everything back down, and then we'll go ahead and let it run for a bit so you can see how this works. So bear with me, let's get this dome off. Alright, I've gotten the tabs loosened up there. We can actually pull this off, which is kind of interesting. I'm not sure if you're going to be able to read that. But on the rim of this globe, it says Model K. And since it's going to spin, since I've loosened it up, right there, if you can see that, it does say McDonald and Arneson. So this is actually a dome for what it's calling it a Model K light, but in this instance here, it says Model M. I don't know enough to know what a Model K was versus a Model M, or if it's just the fact that this dome is just considered a Model K dome and it fits the Model M lights. Somebody in the comments can probably chime in and give more information. I'm not an expert on this. This is something I'm kind of outside the wheelhouse, or my wheelhouse, for. I'm looking to document this for anybody who comes across it, and maybe have somebody learn something if you ever find this. So let's take a look. It's coming off. And there it is. The dome is off. So as you can see, there are 4 lamps, bulbs, and then a parabolic par 36 style reflector. And this does not rotate. The only reason why it's rotating is because I'm rotating it. Good thing to make note of is there's this rubber gasket here on the bottom. So that's to keep water from infiltrating when it's on. Now, my assumption is with the bottom of this, and I'll flip this up so you can see this too, that's the bottom. And there's really not much to this underneath. I mean, there is a big gap there. I would assume that this was probably mounted to some sort of pole, which had a platform, and then it was bolted to the platform with a gasket underneath there to keep water from coming up on the inside. Now let's take a look at the technical aspects of this slide. As you can see, the wire comes up and in here, where my finger's pointing. Let's see if I can actually turn this a little bit, get a better shot of it. Right here. That's your hot. Now the hot then comes into each one of these individual flashers and these pencil flashers, and what I'm understanding is that those pencil flashers are extremely hard to locate. They're almost unobtainium at this point, and it's kind of interesting if you want to take a look at them. Old school wiring. See what it says on there. Lab flash something. Let's see, something San Francisco. So manufactured in San Francisco. Let's see, this one might be a little bit better. Lab stop. 12 volts, and a model number there to take a look at. So for these pencil flashers, I believe they're working. Pardon me here, shaky cam. I believe they are working. We can go ahead and get this powered up. Like I said, I just want to kind of document this. This is a very interesting piece of lighting history. Again, it is a beacon, but it is not a rotating beacon. But the way those pencil flashers work is that each one of those lamps is on a separate circuit, which means they all have their own individual timer, if you're familiar with what like a thermal flasher and how it works. So each one of those lamps will flash on its own, which should give a very interesting flash pattern once it's working. As a matter of fact, I may actually come back and make a after hours video with this light if everything works out on it. But let's go ahead here. I'll cover a little bit of the dome, since I know people are interested in this as well. The glass dome is actually in very good shape. You can see the fluting on the inside. The outside is very smooth. The inside has the fluting. If I flip this up, you can see there's the unevenness of the fluting. This is actually quite cool, and I have to be careful because, again, this is glass dome. It's got some weight to it. They're fragile, and I'm doing this with one hand. But let's go ahead and actually get this back together. Again, I don't know what the correct bulbs are for this beacon. I think I'm using... I put in one from one of my aerodynamics. I think I could be wrong. I think it's an 1195 bulb, something like that I've got in here. It's a 28 watt bulb. I call them hot air balloon styles. They all appear to be the same style of bulb, but they're probably not. That might be a little bit too new for this bulb, but for this lamp. It is, however, a 12 volt beacon, which is kind of interesting. I have seen versions of this beacon that are 6 volts, so I guess that's a bonus for me that we're dealing with 12 volt and not 6 volt. And here we go, as I flip this back around. There's your tag there showing McDonald and Arneson Traffic Master, so on and so forth. This is an old style power wire. You can see the cloth on it, so that's why another reason why I say it's definitely an older beacon, definitely 50s. But let's go ahead and get this bulb back on it and powered up, and see if we can actually get some flashing. That's what everybody's here for. Alright folks, she's wired up. We're ready to go. Let's take a look and see what she does. One-handed shaky cam, there it goes. And there it is. I mean, there's your 3. I'll try to get around here a little bit. I can't really move this beacon too much because my wiring is real short. Unfortunately, this is not the most ideal location for me to make a video. But I figured, you know what? I might as well. So we've got 1, 2, 3 lamps. They're flashing. Let's come around the back. And the back is flashing too. So there's that random... I call it the rando. And again, I'll move it a little bit, I guess. I'm worried I'm going to lose the ground since I don't have a steady ground. But there's your kind of like random flash pattern. It's actually quite neat. I like the faceted glass, or the look of the faceted glass. And you can kind of see it. It is trying to emulate a 4-way flasher. I can even see behind. If you take a look, you can see the light flashing off the brickwork there on the back. But this is very cool. Not really in my wheelhouse. Like I said, I'm not so much a beacon guy, but I am a fan of vintage lighting, and this is right up that alley. So very interesting. If you find one of these things, hope your flashers work, because I know that they're literally unobtainium to find. This one seems to be working great. Didn't really take a lot of work from me other than just doing some cleanup of the dome, a little bit of quadruple zero steel wool, and some cleanup with some glass, and that's about it. So this isn't going to be one of my normal rants and the normal long video. I just wanted to try to keep this a little bit shorter, cover the points that needed to be made. And that's it. So hopefully your summer's going well. Mine's doing great. And I'll catch you on the flip side. Stampede Valkyrie signing out.